everyone. I'm Peter Anthony Fields, and welcome to my Playwright's Corner. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Dani Apple. And why is she special? Well, let me just give you a couple of tips, a couple of examples here. She is a member of the Actors Equity Association. She's a Broadway World 2020 Cabaret Awards Best Vocalist nominee. And she's performed in many, many productions in Cleveland and in New York City. And well, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to let Dani take it from there and let her explain everything about herself and introduce herself to you. So go ahead, Dani.
Hi, I'm Dani. I'm Dani Apple. My journey started very, very early when I was literally coming out of the womb. I was one of those people that was always singing around the house and always putting on little shows for my family. So for me, theater was always, it was a no-brainer. I always knew from when I was a kid what I would major in college, what I would pursue as a career. This was my whole life and it continues to be. And now I've made a career out of it. And it's wild to me that I get paid and it is my job to be in performances because that was something I always did for fun. And it's still fun, obviously.
Okay, so you've done many roles in your lifetime and still many more to go. But why don't you tell us what your favorite three roles are?
So here's the thing about that question. I do get asked that a lot. My favorite role and my favorite show is always what I'm currently working on. I can't,
Mhm.
where I'm in a production at the current moment, I'm so immersed in it and I'm so in love with the story and I delve so far into who that character is, why they are the way they are. I do so much research on the world they live in and the setting and the time that I'm so in love with what I'm currently working on that is always my favorite. Of course, right now I am currently playing Seidel in Fiddler on the Roof at the Phoenix Theater Company in Arizona. So right now I'm saying Fiddler on the Roof is the best show in the world. It's my favorite show ever. And it is one of my favorites of all time, but my favorite role ever I'm currently doing. So it's hard to answer that question, but of course, Fiddler is definitely a favorite. I've actually played all of the daughters except Sprinza. And at this point, I don't think I will because I am no longer a child. So justice for Sprinza. But I have played all the daughters at this point. So that is definitely something that I'm so excited that I've been able to do because it's one of my favorite shows. I also, fresh out of college, had the opportunity to be in Freaky Friday, the musical. And what was so fun about that was I played the daughter, the Lindsay Lohan role in the movie. But what was very cool was I was essentially the mother for most of the show because they swap places. So that was really, really cool to get to play two roles in one, especially
That's,
being so goofy and playing a mom.
yeah.
Um, as someone who had just graduated college was so fun for me. And yeah, it's hard to say. It's whatever I'm currently doing. My last show that closed very recently, it closed a few weeks just before this Fiddler started, was The White Rose, the musical, off Broadway in New York City. And I got to cover the two girls in the show, including Sophie Scholl, who this story centers around. And she was such an activist and such a fighter for change. And that was a very inspiring story, especially right now with what's going on in the world. So getting to step into Sophie Scholl's shoes, also not even just that character being a real person and, taking on that real life story, but just the fact that it was a brand new musical from scratch. And I got to be a part of the conception of something coming to life for the first time ever and helping to create these roles and helping to, who are these people and making the musical from the ground up. That was really, really cool too.
Now you mentioned Freaky Friday, where you played essentially two roles in one. So that may have been a fun challenge for you. Is that a role that was extremely challenging for you in any way, or is there another role that really challenged you and stretched your abilities as far as they can go?
So that every role is a challenge. You're taking on something new from scratch every time. But I would say the hardest thing I've ever done was this past year. I could talk days about this. I did my first swing contract. So for people who don't know, being a swing means that you are there to cover all of the other roles in case of an emergency, if someone has to call out for being sick or injured, or if they have a wedding or something to go to. And what's really tough about being a swing is you're learning multiple roles. Imagine playing all of the parts. You have to know everyone's lines and everyone's blocking and everyone's choreography. And you don't get as much rehearsal as everyone else. So you have to know more than everyone else, rehearse more than everyone else on your own, but you get less time and less rehearsal and less spacing time and less time to work in the costume and on the set than everyone else. So it's a harder gig for less, payback. So it's a really tough thing. And my first situation ever swinging was this past year, and I swung a show that was not even in English. The
Wow.
show was in Yiddish. So for
Wow.
my first swing experience to already be tough, trying to learn and navigate how to cover multiple roles in the same show, but also in a language that I don't speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. I do know
Yeah.
some Yiddish, of
Absolutely.
course. Growing up, my parents would say a couple words here and there. I've heard some vocabulary words, but I technically learned that entire show phonetically. We had recordings that we listened to, and I just drilled those. So that was so difficult to
Yeah.
learn so many different lyrics in Yiddish, but also it was extremely rewarding as well, just to know that I worked so hard and it paid off. I got to go on 4 times, I think, in that show. I got to go on for 4 different shows, which is a lot for a swing, to get to go on in a short run. And just, yeah, to be a part of the show and jump on in it. That first day swinging on was, my nerves were out of control because it was like, oh my God, I'm on this stage. You sometimes don't even get the opportunity to rehearse the show with the rest of the cast, because I would rehearse with the other understudies in understudy rehearsal. But when it was time to do the actual show, the leads who were the leads were on stage with me and not the covers who I was rehearsing with. So it was my first time ever being in the costume on the stage with the people who are in it. And the track I ended up going on for had a quick change with a huge quick change with a corset. I mean, corsets take a million years to put on, but we had 10 seconds, and a huge skirt, and shoes and a crown. And it was a whole thing. And there was a quick change that I had 20 seconds to do that change. And my first time ever doing that quick change was during my first show going on. And it was one of those moments where I was like, is this going to happen? Is it not? We'll see. Time will tell. And I made it, like, barely, but I made it and sprinted on and did the song. And yeah, it's so scary to be a
Yeah.
swing, also so rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. That's incredible. I'm listening to you and I'm trying to imagine going through that. That's wow. That takes some skill, a lot of skill, and
Yeah,
wow.
it definitely prepped my brain to be able to learn so many lyrics so quickly in another language. Now, when I'm given a script in English, I'm saying, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love easy peasy in English.
Yeah. Well, that will go in my personal log as the most challenging acting experience ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. With so much focus on motion pictures, whether they be in the cinema or on television, and video games and streaming and all of that, um, how important do you think live theater is uh, for society in general and for you personally?
Yeah, I think, of course, the way that the world is turning with everything going on, virtually, I think it's awesome because it makes theater accessible to people. I think the making of all of these movie musicals and movie TV shows are amazing because I have friends in the theater industry who are from random hometowns in places across the country that they couldn't get to New York to see Broadway shows. So their outlet into musical theater was seeing those movies. And so I do applaud that and I welcome that. But at the same time, I think that there's nothing like the live theater. I mean, there's just nothing like it, being in a room with other people, all experiencing it in real time together and seeing the actors right in front of you, going through that journey right in front of you. And I just think, as I also applaud, the movies and the TV shows, but I think we need all of those mediums. I think they're all so equally important.
Great answer. I feel that for me personally, Uh, Live theater is obviously best seen live,
Yeah.
and I think that what Disney did for Hamilton is probably the best route to go, where they're not constructing a complete film version adaptation of the stage musical, but they're recording, documenting what happened on the stage during three performances, and they edit it together.
Yeah.
And I think that with a live audience watching, uh, being a part of both all three recording experiences, that's the thing that I think is the best route to go for presenting live theater to. The movies are fine too; they're great. But to be able to show people who don't get to live theater what live theater is like in a sense is, I think, important to do.
And my hope is that people will see that and get so excited by that and what it must feel like in the air in that space and say, I want to buy
Right.
a ticket to a show. I want to be there now next time, not watching on Disney Plus, but in the
Right.
audience.
Exactly. Yeah. So one will lead to the other. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the hope.
yeah, a bread trail leading to the theater, to the live theater. um, so tell me, what does it take for you for what did it take for you personally to get to where you are now? I'm sure it's a lot of hard work, but bring us into that world of you as you experienced life heading in this direction.
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is everyone says you have to go major in college in theater and go take this class and this voice lesson and do this training and then you're ready. But I think being an adult in the industry and actually pursuing it is you're never ready. You always have to be a student. You always have to be continuing to learn and work on all of the aspects of the craft. So I think yes, I did all of those things. I grew up, I took voice lessons, dance classes, I went to theater camp and took acting classes there. I majored in musical theater at the Boston Conservatory. I came to New York and continued to stay in voice lessons and acting classes and dance classes occasionally. I tried to keep up with that. But I think that's just the thing is that you're never done learning. So I'm still in the classes at all times. There's just so much to learn and you can never be fully done. It's one of those things where, and every time I do a show too, I'm learning more in that rehearsal space and learning more about that particular show and how to develop that character and how to create that world. So you can do all of those things, but they will never truly stop. But education is really, really important. You don't have to have a degree in musical theater to audition for Broadway shows, which is really cool. So I have a lot of friends who majored in other things and then their life paths still led them to theater, which is so awesome. As long as you're keeping up with your training. I still have acting coaches that I coach my audition sides with in New York, and I'm still in acting classes and voice lessons and all of those things. And also, I think just being open to different sides of performing. I think I don't try to limit myself to only doing musical theater. I try to audition for plays as well. And I think my path even led me a little bit off the path to I did a TV gig. I sang on a TV show, which is not something that I thought I would do. I thought I was a theater person only. I was only an actor. I wouldn't do a singing TV show. I never thought I would when I was a kid. And now here I did that. And it was awesome and so much fun. And I met the best people in the world. And it helped my acting career because I got to, be seen on such a large scale on a national television. And it helped me, be seen by so many different people to, reach out and consider me now for different roles in shows and say, oh, you dressed like a waitress on this show, now audition for this show. So
Yeah.
you have to be open to trying new things, TV, film, print, commercial, voiceover, just really broaden the horizon and try everything and see what sticks. Yeah, but not pigeonholing yourself.
Right. And I saw you on a television show, the singing television show. You were excellent. I was so proud of you.
Yeah, it was so fun. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Um, and why don't you tell us about how you feel about the people who fostered you in this back in Cleveland, and what that experience was like in your hometown.
Yeah. It's so important. I still to this day think about those mentors that I had, those directors of the youth theaters that I grew up in. And I know like one of them played Seidel in Fiddler on the Roof when I was a kid, and I looked up to her. And so now I'm thinking about her right now and playing this role. So I think when you are a teacher, you may think, oh, I have hundreds of students. They're not going to remember me. Or and some of them, they're not even going to go on to to actually pursue this as a real career. But the ones that do, that relationship that we had with those mentors, it means the world to us. I still think about the things that they taught me. I think about them. And so I try to incorporate that. I teach as well. A lot of actors also teach or have other work on the side because theater does not pay what we need to pay the bills sometimes. But also it's fun to teach and give back at the same time while I'm still working on myself and my own career. So
Yeah.
I teach, I tutor kids, I teach voice lessons to kids. And I think about how to me, it could just be, oh, I'm teaching a half-hour voice lesson, whatever, but it's not whatever, because this person who I'm teaching could pursue this one day and take it as seriously as I do. And the things that I say to them and the things that I teach them could stick with them for the rest of their lives. It's so important. And it helped shape me into who I am today. So I try to give back in that way when I teach younger kids.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, I want to say personally that I am honored to have had the opportunity to have directed you in some small movies in the past, and so that's really exciting for me to see you when you were so young, and now you're doing so well professionally in this field of entertainment, and that's really awesome.
Those were the coolest because that was my first time being on a TV set or a movie set and being around a camera. And you were saying things like 3, 2, 1, action, and all of the fun little things I was experiencing for the first time. And it was so cool. And yeah, I cherish those experiences forever. So thank you for having me, and thank you for continuing to keep in touch with me.
Absolutely. I love the group of people that I worked with, and I want to stay in touch with them as long as I can. And,
Yeah.
so, so thank you, Dani, for appearing on our little Playwrights Corner program. It is indeed an honor, and I will continue to root for you and cheer you on, and be beaming so proudly as you make your way through your career. So
Thank you. And you.
thank
Thank you.
you. Okay, thank you so much, Dani.
Yay.
Well,
Thank you. Bye. I was saying goodbye to other people, but not to
yes,
you.
yes, okay. So since Dani is saying goodbye to all of you, I'm going to say goodbye as well. And we'll see you next time on the Playwrights Corner with a new guest. And but this has been Dani Apple, actress, singer, and person extraordinaire. Okay, well, see you guys later.